Hi, I am Jamia, and welcome to episode 2 of the Roots of Reuse. We are going to make coil-wrapped bowls today using plastic bags and plarn, plastic bag yarn, which I showed how to make in episode 1 of the Roots of Reuse. So if you want to go to that episode, just check out the link below. Today we're going to make coil-wrapped bowls, but you can utilize this technique for anything your heart desires. You might dream up something else with this technique, and that's great. I want to equip you with the tools to create whatever is in your imagination. So come on, let's go. I'm ready. For this project, you need plastic bags, plarn, and a large plastic needle that has a large eye. This is a coil-wrapped bowl, but there's yarn being used to wrap it. And what's called the core is this rope. We are going to be using a plastic bag as the core of our coil-wrapped bowl. So what I've been doing is taking these, they're thicker bags, which a lot of bags you get are, and I've been even cutting this into pieces. So I cut the sides like this, cut up the side. And then I opened it up and I actually cut it down the middle to start my core. So now I'm going to take this end and I'm going to take my plarn. I'm going to cut a length of plarn, maybe about the size of my arm or a little longer. And I'm going to put this plastic needle on the end. And I take the other end of the plarn and I basically start to wrap the end a bit. Get it on there. And this little tail, I want to work in with this other end here. It's okay if it's not perfect here, but basically I want to take this and fold it to create this little hook. And then I want to keep wrapping around to get it to stay put. And then I keep going, and you could make this side by side so none of the core of the bag shows through, but I don't mind that it shows through because I like the fact that it's all plastic bags throughout. So I like to show it. But basically you'll start to curve this hook area, the middle. It's going to become the middle. And I roll it, and now I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to put it into the middle of that little hook that I made and pull through and keep wrapping around every so often, and then I'm going to keep rolling this up. And then I go back into the middle, and then I'm going to wrap some more. Roll it a little more. Sew through that middle spot. But what's going to end up happening is eventually I'm not going to be sewing through the middle. I'm going to be sewing through that previous sort of ring around the middle. So now that's probably going to happen about here. So I roll it, I go through the previous layer, the in-between. Keep wrapping. Now look, I'm starting to run out of plarn. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to get another length of it. Get myself set up. And I'm just basically going to keep wrapping and rolling. Actually, I should do one more little stitch. And as you can see, I'm starting to get this little spiral happening. Now a spiral is something that happens in nature a lot. So instead of a bowl, you might be inspired to make something else. Like I'm thinking of a snail right now. So I'm going to keep rolling. Sew through the previous layer there. and let this grow. And this is going to become the bottom of the bowl. So I'm going to show you one that's a little more developed than this. This one's been done a little bit more. So I am at a point here where I've run out of the core. So I want to show you how to add core to it. So I'm going to take that other piece of bag, and I'm probably going to need another piece of this plarn. Basically what you do is you just kind of overlap this new piece of core, and then you just keep winding. I'm going to get my next piece ready. Twist that on to make the end of that other one stay. And then I go through the previous layer. And this core, the second piece of core, should stay. And you just keep going in the same way until you have the bottom as big as you want. If you want a big bowl, you might keep going on this disc for a long time. Eventually, what you're going to have to do, if this is how big you want the bottom of your bowl, you're going to have to start creating this coil to go up sort of the wall of this creation. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. So now I want to kind of get this to go on top. So gradually, you're going to make it, each time you go around, it's going to go up a bit. So I'm going to purposely put it on top of this layer here. Keep wrapping a couple times. Do another stitch, but I'm going to make sure this goes on top of that end coil of that disc that I created. So you see how it's side by side there? And you'll figure this out. You'll get into your own rhythm. But this is basically how to create, if you've ever created a coil bowl out of clay, this is the same kind of idea, just with these materials. So here's one that's been worked a little bit more. You can see that there's about 3 layers right there, and I'm still going, but the walls of this bowl are starting to get higher. Pretty cool. And then if you keep going even more, you can get something like this. And this has a little handle at the end. Oh, there's a little note in there. How many bags did this take? Well, actually, it's probably about 5 or 6 bags at least in this bowl. I'm trying to empower you, to give you techniques that you can then use to create other things. Like this is a sculpture that I've created with this method by basically deconstructing this bowl idea and just kind of winding it and connecting it in these different points. So those are some ideas for you to use with the coil method. Just use this technique, just play around with it and see what you can come up with.
Thank you for joining me for episode 2 of The Roots of Reuse, where we made coil-wrapped bowls.